I never thought I'd be writing something like this. My marriage has been dead for a long time now, though nobody outside our house would guess it. To everyone else, we're the picture-perfect family. But inside, it's cold, mechanical. My wife and I haven't really connected for years. It's like we're just roommates that occasionally exchange grocery lists. I used to fight it, try to fix things, but after a while, you just get tired of bleeding for someone who doesn't even notice. You just stop trying. Last week, my son came to me, all nervous and awkward, asking for advice about his first real date. He's 18, technically an adult, but in so many ways still a boy. I could see how much it meant to him, how scared he was of messing everything up. He kept shifting from foot to foot, hands jammed deep into his pockets, trying to seem cool but failing miserably. I smiled and told him the usual things: be respectful, listen more than you talk, don't overthink it. He nodded like he was absorbing every word, even though I could tell he was still terrified. After a pause, he blurted out that he was worried about what might happen if the night went well, that he had no idea what to do physically. He said it so fast it was almost like he thought if he spoke quickly enough, maybe it wouldn't be as embarrassing. I tried to laugh it off, tried to make him feel better, told him everyone feels that way at first. But something about his vulnerability hit me harder than I expected. Maybe it was the way he trusted me so completely, the way he was looking at me like I had all the answers, like I was the person he could depend on when he was terrified and unsure. I felt this weird ache in my chest, this surge of something that was half love and half pain. I realized how much I missed feeling needed, feeling important to someone. It wasn't even about pride or ego. It was about being seen, being valued, something I hadn't felt in years. He chuckled nervously, scratching the back of his neck, and joked, "Maybe you can show me sometime." He said it trying to be funny, trying to break the tension. I laughed along, but inside something shifted. Something cracked open that I hadn't even realized was sealed shut. I pushed the thought away immediately. It was ridiculous, stupid. But still, for the first time in forever, I didn't feel invisible. The conversation drifted back to safer topics, but that one moment stuck in my mind like a splinter under the skin. It wasn't about what he said, it was about what it made me realize about myself. About how starved I was for connection. I stayed up that night long after he'd gone to bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly I had become so hollow that a simple joke could shake me to my core. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was stronger than that. But some part of me knew the truth. Something had started, and I didn't know if I could stop it. There was a time when my wife couldn't keep her hands off me. Back then, we were the kind of couple people rolled their eyes at. Too much laughter, too many lingering touches. Somewhere along the way, life squeezed it out of us. Careers, bills, stress, kids. It chipped away slowly, until one day, I woke up next to a stranger. I tried to bring it back more times than I can count. Planned dates, bought gifts, wrote letters I never sent. Every time, I got the same distracted smile, the same polite nod, like she was humoring me. Eventually, I stopped reaching out at all. I told myself it was normal, that this was what marriage looked like after enough years. But it never stopped hurting. I would lie awake at night sometimes, listening to her breathing next to me, inches away, but completely out of reach. I'd remember how she used to whisper my name like it was a secret only we shared. Now, if she said my name at all, it was to ask if I'd taken the trash out. I resented her for it. I resented myself for letting it get this bad. Somewhere deep down, I blamed her for making me feel so unwanted, but I hated myself more for still wanting her approval. When my son's date canceled, he looked wrecked. He tried to brush it off like it was nothing, but I could see right through it. He felt like a failure, like he wasn't good enough. I recognized that look too well. It was the same when I saw in the mirror more often than I liked to admit. I sat next to him, tried to say the right things, but words felt thin and useless. He needed more than advice. He needed someone to make him believe he wasn't broken. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to give him something good to hold on to, something pure that wouldn't get twisted into the bitterness and self-hatred that had taken root in me. Maybe I told myself that as an excuse. Maybe it was the truth. I don't know anymore. He looked at me like I was the only person who could help him, like I was his safe place. And then he asked again, not as a joke this time. He asked if I could show him what to do. Not in a crude way, not in a way that made it seem dirty or wrong. Just pure, desperate fear of failure. And trust. So much trust. Something inside me cracked wide open. I should have said no. I should have pulled back, told him it wasn't something I could help him with. But I didn't. Part of me wanted to believe it was harmless, that I was just helping him feel confident. Another part of me knew exactly what I was doing, and how badly I wanted to do it. I smiled, trying to hide the war raging inside my chest. I told him we'd figure something out together. My voice sounded steady, but my hands were trembling. Every line I thought I would never cross was already blurring. And the worst part was, in that moment, it didn't even feel wrong. It felt like the most natural thing in the world. I told myself it was just about giving him confidence, just about showing him he didn't have to be afraid. I kept drawing lines in my mind, reassuring myself I would stop before anything crossed into something real. But the lines kept moving, kept bending under the weight of the moment. It started with simple things. How to hold someone, where to place your hands, how to read their body language. I spoke calmly, like a teacher, like a parent should. But the longer it went on, the more my heart raced, the harder it became to pretend. He listened so carefully, his eyes locked onto mine like I was the only person who could guide him through this terrifying mystery. I didn't realize when my words started to slow down, when the space between us started to shrink. I noticed his breathing change, shallow and fast. I noticed mine was the same. It should have jolted me back to reality, but instead it pulled me deeper into it. I kept telling myself it was harmless, that it was just an exercise, that he needed to feel confident before facing the real thing. When I touched him to demonstrate, something in me froze for half a second, a last desperate flare of conscience, and then it melted away under the heat of the moment. His skin was warm under my hand. He didn't flinch. He didn't pull away. He trusted me so completely, it almost made me sick. But it also made me feel needed in a way I hadn't felt in years, in a way I had almost forgotten was possible. That need, that terrible hungry need, overpowered every rational thought I had. He closed his eyes, trying to memorize every sensation, every instruction. I could feel the tension in his body, the uncertainty, the raw vulnerability. It made everything feel heavier, more dangerous. It would have been so easy to stop. So easy to pull away, to laugh, to say it was enough. But I didn't. I let it happen. I guided him further, showing more, touching more, letting him mirror me. Every step felt both terrifying and inevitable. There was no single moment where it became too much. No clear line where it crossed from innocent to something that could never be taken back. It was a slow drift, like walking into deep water without realizing how far you've gone until your feet can't touch the bottom anymore. By the time I understood how far I'd let it go, it was already too late. His trust wrapped around me like chains, binding me to a choice I could never undo. When it was over, we didn't speak. We didn't need to. The silence between us was heavier than any words. He smiled shyly, awkward, unsure if he had done well. I smiled back, my heart breaking under the weight of what I had just done. In his eyes, I was still his safe place. In mine, I had become something I couldn't even name. Something monstrous and hollow, wearing the face of a father. The next morning, everything felt wrong. The sunlight through the windows looked too bright, too clean for what had happened. I sat at the kitchen table staring at nothing, the coffee in my hands going cold. I couldn't meet his eyes when he walked in, cheerful, almost normal. He talked about wanting to try again with another girl, how he felt more confident now. His voice was light, hopeful, as if nothing had shifted at all. As if the night before hadn't dragged me into a place I could never come back from. Every word he said stabbed deeper. I nodded and smiled at the right times, but inside I was collapsing. He still trusted me, still believed I was the man he had always looked up to. That trust made it so much worse. He didn't realize what I had taken from him. He didn't realize how I had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. I had turned something pure into something poisoned, and he had no idea. My wife breezed past us, talking about her schedule, her meetings, barely glancing our way. She didn't notice anything. She hadn't noticed me in years. For a moment, hatred flared up inside me, raw and ugly. I wanted to blame her, to lay it at her feet. If she hadn't pushed me away, if she had still loved me, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe I wouldn't have been so hollow, so desperate for any kind of warmth that I mistook a plea for guidance as something else. But blaming her didn't erase what I had done. It didn't change the fact that it was my hands that reached out, my voice that encouraged him, my choice that destroyed whatever innocence he had left. I thought about telling him everything. I thought about sitting him down and explaining, begging for forgiveness, trying to somehow undo the damage. But what would that really do except shatter him? Drag him into the guilt and filth that only I deserved to carry? He didn't deserve that. He deserved to keep believing he had someone he could trust, even if it was a lie. I decided in that moment that I would carry it alone. I would take every ounce of shame, every sickening flash of memory, and bury it inside myself where it belonged. He hugged me before he left that day, arms wrapping around me tightly, like he always had when he was younger. I froze, the air sucked from my lungs, and for a second, I thought I would collapse under the weight of it. He pulled away smiling, thanking me, saying he felt better. I watched him walk away, feeling the kind of heartbreak that doesn't make a sound, the kind that just gnaws away at your insides until there's nothing left. When he looks at me now, he sees the father he's always loved. But when I look at him, I see the line I crossed burning like a scar across my soul. And no matter how much time passes, I know that fire is never going to go out.